Namaskar. Welcome to this session. At last, after a long wait, we are going to look into the topic of kleshas. Because Kriya Yoga is for two purposes. One is Samadhi Bhavana and the other one is Klesha Tanukaranam. Like Ashtanga Yoga works for two purposes. One is Ashuddhikshaya, the other one is Jnana Deeptihi. So one is for overcoming impurities and the other one is the wisdom up to Viveka Khyati. So just since Ashtanga Yoga is for two purposes, Kriya Yoga too is for two purposes. Being accomplished yogis, the Madhyamadhikaris, they have their pursuit of yoga to actualize samadhi. Unlike our case, we actualize our yoga, practice our yoga for our wellness, well-being here. Ashtanga sadhaka does his yoga for Ashuddhikshaya. So ours is pre-Ashtanga yoga that we do today, and it is for us to just overcome the ill health of body and ill health of mind. While Ashtanga sadhaka does it for Ashuddhikshaya, Ashuddhi of Kaya, Vacha, Manas. And Jnana Deeptihi, up to Viveka Khyati. While Kriya Yogi does yoga for samadhi to be actualized and kleshas to be attenuated. So, thus we come for the topic here, that what are kleshas? Kleshas should not be rendered as afflictions. We should not look into dictionary for the word klesha. The klesha here is a technical term. So, basic and fundamental question is as to what are kleshas or what is klesha. Klesha is what is called in Adhyatma as Moola Prakriti's Avishkar. The Moola Prakriti, the primordial matter, the Maya, it manifests in us in the form of kleshas. Because Adi Maya, its function is to cast delusion. And the kleshas is the first and foremost tool and instrument of this Adi Maya, Adi Shakti, to cast a web of kleshas and keep us as bonded, bound people and mortals. Although we are essentially immortals, even if the self is immortal, we are all mortals. And this mortality is spell of Prakriti. So it's a spell of Prakriti for this universal unfoldment. So, with regards to us, how does this Maya work? This Adi Maya, how does it work? It gives us Aihikata, Prapanchikata, and Vyavahara. Aihikata means mundanity or terrestriality. And prapanchikata means mundanity. And vyavahara means business activity of life. So, in our mundanity, in our worldliness, in our terrestriality, it is not that everything is there for us to suffer. It's not that we are just suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering. We have both delights and joys, and on one hand, and sorrows and pains and worries on the other hand. So, this self, which is really immutable and immuted, daintless, tentless, spotless, all those things seem to be there for us. We are engulfed by delights and sorrows and pains and pleasures and joys and melancholies. All that which is really not there, it all seems to be absolutely real for us. So, the kleshas means also happiness and delight that we get: terrestrial happiness, worldly happiness, mundane happiness, worldly happiness, materialistic happiness. So, this materiality which is engulfing us is because of kleshas. So, we get nourished and nurtured and nourished by the worldly ways. Not that the worldly ways are only tormenting us. So, kleshas also give us joys. But they give joy which is mundane joy. They give the joy which is terrestrial joy, worldly joy, phenomenal joy, terrestrial, celestial joy. So we are caught in this world of terrestriality and celestiality, where we have pleasures, delights, happinesses, joys. So the kleshas means both joys and delights that we get in our worlds. We traverse in all these worlds. From terrestrial world, we travel to celestial worlds in our transmigrations, and we come back. So we move in this Trilokyam. Our movements are in this Trilokyam. Trilokyam means the three planes: terrestrial, celestial, infernal. So we are constantly traveling in these three planes of phenomenal creation. And we do get both joys and sorrows and delights and pains and pleasures and pains, etc. So all these three planes, Trilokyam, which gives us both kinds of experiences. It is because of kleshas. So these are called Aihika Parlokik Bhogas in Adhyatma. Aihik Parlokik Bhogas. Aihik means of this world, and Parlokik means the other worlds. And this is what our life has been. Our life is not just what it is in one lifetime. Our existence is from time immemorial, and in our existence we move in all these three planes of creation, which is called Laukik and Parlokik planes, terrestrial and celestial planes, precisely terrestrial, celestial, infernal planes. Of course, infernal planes we don't have any joy, it is just sufferance and sufferance and sufferance. That is why it is called infernal plane, and celestial plane means joys and joys and joys and joys and no pains. That is why it is called celestial world, and terrestrial is combination of both. So basically, kleshas bestow us the mundanity, the worldliness. When I say worldliness, worldliness means all the three worlds. So we have joys in the three worlds. If not in the three worlds, we at least have joy in the terrestrial world, and joy and only joy in celestial worlds. And so we are transmigrating from planes to planes in this creation. It is because of kleshas. It is because of kleshas. So, we will be enduring for pleasures our life. Terrestrial life is to endeavor, struggle, strive, attempt for gaining pleasures and avoiding pains. That is what is characteristic of our terrestrial existence. That we seek and we want to seek, and we make every attempt to seek pleasures in this world and avoid any pain and sorrow and torment. That is what our life is here. That's how the terrestrial life is characterized. So it is given by kleshas, and then we also generate kleshas by being in this world. By being in these three worlds, we are generating kleshas, we are experiencing kleshas. So that's how we have to understand these kleshas. These are metapsychological afflictions, which include psychological happinesses, psychological pleasures, psychological delights, psychological joys as well. So one of the mystic poets has explained the kleshas as, he says, just as what the toys are for children, what the chocolates and cookies and sweetmeats and toys are for children. They want to embrace it, they want to grab it, they want to take it, they want to get it. That is what we are doing in our life. Although we are not children biologically, we are fascinated by the kleshas in one of their aspects, which gives pleasures, delights, happinesses, joys. And we are embracing them, we are going after them, we are chasing them, we are trying to getting all those things. So we are trying to actually earn, augment, escalate kleshas in our worldly existence. Because we want the Vishayas. We are all Vishaya Sakta. Vishaya Sakta means we have tremendous craze, fascination for sensory objects. So what chocolates and cookies are for children, these worldly pleasures are for us. We are equally crazy for worldly pleasures, sensory pleasures, sensualities, as the children are for having for chocolates and cookies and sweets and toys. So that's Vishaya Sakti. And therefore we go after Vishayas and try to get our delights, our gratifications. So Vishaya Sakti and Kama Sakti, our asakti, our craze for Vishayas and craze for Kama, the passion. We try to get our pleasures and delights. And in this world, what is after all Purushartha? What is after all aim of a worldly man, materialistic man? is to become successful in the worldly life, to be affluent in worldly life. So, like children are going after chocolates and cookies and sweets and toys, when we are little more grown up, we go after vishyas. We go after the sensory objects. We want to have sensory gratifications. So, in our youth, we are Vishaya Asakta and Kama Asakta. We try to derive pleasures out of Vishaya Asakti and Kama Asakti. Kama Asakti means sensuality, the passions, the lust. When we satisfy our lust, we get delight. And they are our Sukhashrayas. So for children, the sukha, the pleasure lies in toys and chocolates and cookies and sweets. And when little grown up, we have joy somewhere else. As a teenager or in our adolescence, our sukhashraya changes. Where we get pleasures is different. No longer we are happy with the chocolates and cookies and toys. We have delight somewhere else. So try to understand what was a joyous object for you when you were a baby, and when you became a child, how it changed. And then when you grew a little more, when you came to your teens and when you attained adolescence, puberty, where was your joy? What was your joy? Then you became young, and then what was your joy? So in youth, the joy lies in gratification of senses, gratification of the mind. And we want to get money. So what toys are, what chocolates and cookies are for children, there comes an age when money is everything to us. We get into the gravity of money and it is inescapable. The delusion that money casts on us, wealth and money, name and fame and recognition. This is what we look for in our prime age, that we want nama laukika. We want name, fame, recognition. We want money, wealth, estates, possessions, valuable wealth. And then that's how we'll seek all those kinds of pleasures in our prime age, in our youth, and perhaps even in adulthood also. In adulthood also we take joy in getting name, fame, money, recognition, etc. And then in old age, what are we seeking? When we are very old, we are seeking just a good health, a good physical health, hassle-free health. And we want security. In the old age, security is a threat. We don't feel secured in old age, so we want to feel secured. For which we make some provisions to be feeling secured in old life, such as life insurance, insurance policies, and making some properties and some estate, so that we feel secured in old age. So Sukhashraya, the locus of happiness and delight, changes in different biological states or biological stages in our life. We want that kind of independence in old age. We don't like dependence in old age. We want to be as far as possible independent in old age and not dependents and not parasites. We want disease-less and decay-less condition. We want to be feeling healthy, being healthy, and not be engulfed by disease and decay. So that is what is our pleasure in our old age. Then we have joy in our grandchildren and grandchildren being around us. In old age, that gives a lot of pleasure when you have your grandchildren around, great-grandchildren around. So the Sukhashraya changes in different stages of life. And then we have tremendous gravity for these sukhashraya. So we want to enjoy the life. So understand what is the enjoyment of life from childhood to every stage in life that comes to us when we are perhaps decrepit, very, very, very old, ripe old people. Then there are some who are looking for laukika, aihika, and even parlaukika sukha. There are some who are little more evolved in consciousness. They want joy even hereafter, not only in this life. They know they are going to exist after this life in some form or the other. So they want to make provisions to that pleasurable condition even posthumously. Parlaukik sukham. The sukham that is after death, that is called parlaukik. So there are some people who are aware of reality to a greater extent and they want to be happy even thereafter, after the life, hereafter. So that's called paralaukik sukham. They make provisions for paralaukik sukham. So they collect virtues, punya sanchayam. They collect merits so that life after death won't be a tormenting one. So this is how we are all pleasure crazy people in every stage of life and in whatever level of consciousness. We will be in different levels of consciousness, but however, every one of us is pleasure crazy, happiness crazy, and delight crazy. We look for delights in different ways for different people. But we have tremendous gravity of delights on us. The children are told about not overeating chocolates, not overeating sweets, etc. Because we as adults know that it's not good for the health. The teeth would be decayed by eating too many chocolates. So we go on telling the children, don't be so crazy about peppermints and toffees and chocolates and sweets. And we go on giving them different advices that the teeth will decay, or you will get worms in your belly, or you will get stomach ache. So we go on advising the children. Because we know that they have lobha and moha for their objects, and it is difficult to wean them away. We have to play some tricks to really wean them away and convince them. And then we think that compared to children, we are wiser people, intelligent people, and we think we have sanity. But the saints and sages, they look at us and they say, you are really childish. Don't think that you are matured. Don't think that you have wisdom. And they have another set of advices for us. The Santa, Mahanta, Mahapurush, they have different advice for us. Although we are perhaps grandparents, great-grandparents, we are childish in the view of these sagacious and wise people such as saints, and they have certain advices for us. So we have some kind of advice which comes from wonderful texts such as Das Bodha. We might be grandparents already, we might be great-grandparents, but still we need advice of someone like Sri Ramdas, saints like Sri Ramdas, and then therefore he has a text for us called Dasa Bodha. It is because we are all caught in kleshas. So just as children need advisors, we too need advisors. Our advisors are saints and sages and sagacious people, such as Jnaneshwars and Tukarams and Ramdas, Tulsidas. They have much advice for us. It is because we are all engulfed by kleshas. And just as the children need advice, we too need advice. It is because we are infested by kleshas. It is because we have mistaken notions about realities. It is because of avidya, as yoga philosophy puts it. It is because of avidya that is there in us. We need advice. The children are ignorant. Somebody might be stupid. Somebody might be mad. Somebody might be innocent. Somebody might be ignorant. And we think we are not all that. We are neither innocent, nor ignorant, nor unwise, nor stupid, nor unintelligent. This is what we think about ourselves. The fact of the matter is that's not the case. We have the avidya in us. It is a metapsychological delusion. We are all deluded. Just as the children are deluded by chocolates, they are infatuated by toffees and chocolates and cookies and toys. We also have infatuations. And therefore, the Adhyatma, the Paramartha, comes to instruct us to be free from the clutches of delusion, and that delusion is called avidya. The basic delusion is called avidya. Now, avidya is of the nature of perversience. See how we have this perversion within us. We all think that we have birth and death. We all think that we are body and mind complex. We have birth, we have life, we have lifespan, we have stages in life, and then we have end of life. And because we so much identify ourselves with our body and mind, we know that we have physical and mental diseases of some form or the other. So, although we are actually permanent, as metaphysics tells us very, very, very often, yet no one is really convinced. None of us are convinced that we are immortals and we are eternal. So we think that we are transitory. We come and go. We take birth and we die. So, although we are essentially nitya, we think of us as anitya. As if before birth we were not there and after death we will not be there. Now, it is very difficult to overcome this kind of delusion and this kind of misconception. It's a misconception, it is viparyaya, it is not true, it is untrue that we are not eternal. But we all feel that we are not eternal. So it is called nitya, aditya, aviveka, indiscrimination of what is really nitya and what is not nitya. Like if you build our own house, we think we have eternal house. Which civic construction is eternal? It might last for something less than 100 years or 100 years or maybe 2, 3, 4, 500 years or maybe 1,000, a millennia or more than a millennia. These structures are not permanent. None of such structures are permanent. But when we build our own house, we say, I have permanent house. You yourself, you are not permanent. You will be dead. So we have this kind of perversion, perverse science, perverted notions, perverted ideas about what is really eternal and what is transitory. What is eternal, what is not eternal. That's called nitya, nitya avivekam. So we have gross misunderstanding here. Grossly we have mistaken here. Because we think we are body and mind, we think we are what we are. Living from birth to death, which is very untrue. Then we have also indiscrimination in other respects, which Patanjali describes in the Sutra on Avidya. Nitya Nitya Avivekam, Sukha Dukha Avivekam, Shuchi Ashuchi Vivekam Avivekam, Atma Anatma Avivekam. So Aviveka, the indiscrimination, is rampant in us, totally subsuming us. That is called avidya. So, we have perverse views about ourselves than as they are posited in metaphysics. So this is the source of all kleshas, called avidya. And it works on different planes, operates on different planes, which of course will be told when we look into the sutras. And the life therefore is colorful for us because of this avidya. Something is delightful, something is enticing, something is aversive. Now, for a Kriya Yogi, these realities are naked realities. That is why they torment him. They don't torment us, they torment him. We enjoy what in our life is something which is something that is red signal to a Kriya Yogi because of his evolved consciousness. And that's why the kleshas are kleshas. The kleshas are kleshas with reference to Kriya Yogi. The kleshas are not kleshas, no kleshas for you and me. But the kleshas are kleshas with reference to Kriya Yogi. They really torment him. Because he is caught in mortal gravities, mortal embodiments, mortal conditions, mortal delimitations. So he knows that essentially I am without caste, class, creed, gender, status, stature, etc., etc., etc. But they have all gravities, being a mortal. Yogi being a mortal with embodiment, those gravities are working on him and therefore they are torments. They torment him. That is why the word klesha has been opted for by Patanjali and Adhyatma, because they are kleshas. I am so and so is a klesha. The fact of the matter is that we are neither man or woman or young or old or strong or weak or stupid or intelligent, but all those are almost integral to our characteristics. We can't identify ourselves without these delimitations which are false, which are absolutely false. So this false or the falsity is a torment to one who is spiritually evolved. For us, the falsities as they are not really tormenting us. because that is what is our life. They give us the life. They give us the feeling of existence. But this is torment to him, and therefore they are called kleshas. Because the question can be asked, why then they are called kleshas? And kleshas literally means afflictions. And why are they called afflictions? They are afflictions to a Kriya Yogi. And that's why the nomenclature, very aptly chosen by Shastra, by the tradition, by the philosophy. So that is why, as I said, these are metapsychological kleshas. So the kleshas have been defined by Patanjali as klesha parva, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhiniveshaha, kleshaha. So the kleshas are also explained by the Shastra as klesha karya. The kleshas are those which cast a spell of delusion on us, and we are all bound. Actually, essentially, quintessentially, there is no bondage for Atma. There is no bondage for self. But then it becomes actual reality for us that we are bound. So these kleshas need to be attenuated in Kriya Yoga, because when they are attenuated, the Karya Karana Sambandha is decelerated and brought to a halt. Because the cause and effect, that you do something, that you are fruition of the karmas, the fruition of the karmas again give you desires and attachment aversions. Because of attachment aversions, you do again something. Because you do something, again you are going to face consequences. When you face consequences, you are either going to be happy or sad. If you are happy or sad, you are going to have attachment aversion. If you have attachment aversion, again you are going to do something. So this is the wheel where we are caught. That's called the wheel of karma. The wheel of karma, that we can't escape it. So that the cause and effect chain goes on continuing. It doesn't stop, the cause and effect chain. And that one which cuts the chain, pulls the chain, interrupts it, stops it, is called Klesha Tanukaranam. And that is why it is sought after by Kriya Yogi. So the kleshas are main antagonizers for Madhyamadhikari Kriya Yogi. Our antagonizers, if we are tormented, we are tormented by Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsaryam. In Shastra, they are called Klesha Vritti. So the Klesha Vritti might torment us. That too when you are wise. When you have attained your wisdom, then you are tormented by your own Shadripus. Otherwise, we are using the Shadripus, and that's why we are conducting our life and getting our desired objectives satisfied. So we are at the most vexed by Klesha Vritti. That too, if you are little wise by some philosophical touch to your life, then we understand how Kama, Krodhadis are tormenting us, vexing us, parching us. But for a Kriya Yogi, these kleshas are parching. So that is why they are called kleshas and then rendered as afflictions. These are afflictions only to a Madhyamadhikari, which is of the nature of avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. And actually they add color to our life. We get into doing so many things and avoid so many things. It is because of kleshas. Because what is life is to do something and undo something and not do something. Engage with something and disengage from something. This is what our life is. We engage with something and we disengage with something. We go closer to something, we get away from something. So this is going away and getting closer. This is what our life is. Now this is basically because of kleshas which are underlying our psyche consciousness. So the point is, we need to know these kleshas. And these kleshas are attenuated by, now you should know that, by the Gnana Yogic precepts. If you recall the session that we spent on Gnana Yoga would attenuate these. Karma Yoga would attenuate these. The intelligence, the wisdom given by Karma Yoga would attenuate this. The wisdom given by Dhyana Yoga would attenuate this. And the wisdom given by Bhakti Yoga would be attenuating these. And that's why the Kriya Yoga attenuates the kleshas, which the Kriya Yogi wants very much to be accomplished. So, ethos of Gnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, philosophy of Gnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga would enfeeble the kleshas. So, this is enunciation to the topic of kleshas. Now, let's try to understand the kleshas as they appear in the text. With this enunciation, we will end this session. Namaskar, all of you.